Ukraine accuses Russia of gas pipeline terror attack.
European countries are investigating 3 mystery leaks in 2 major gas pipelines between Russia and Europe. The cause of the damage to Nord Stream 1 and 2 is unclear. The news has sent European gas prices up sharply over concerns that any swift resumption in gas flows through the pipelines is unlikely. And these pictures from the Danish military show bubbles in the Baltic Sea from the leaks. The European Commission says it would be premature to speculate about what's happening.
I don't understand why Russia would like blow up their own ticket to like influence. Russia is already okay. They are so they're so incredibly they're already like forcing people to the front lines and shit. There's a lot of internal struggle happening within Russia of people being like, I don't want to get conscripted. What the fuck you? Them blowing up their own pipeline where they could just like do this. Okay. Here's what they could have done instead. This. That's me turning off the faucet. It's called click, turning off the faucet. Here we go. Hasan defending Putin. What a snake. You already know it, baby. It's like the only thing keeping them even remotely in a grip of power. Wait, what? Radek Sikorsky says, thank you, USA. Chairman of the EU-USA delegation thanks the United States of America, Harvard fellow, of course, and a distinguished statesman. By the way, there's no shortage of pipeline capacity for taking gas from Russia to Western Europe, including Germany. Nord Stream's only logic was for Putin to be able to blackmail or wage war on Eastern Europe with impunity. All Ukrainian and Baltic Sea states have opposed Nord Stream's construction for 20 years. Now, $20 billion of scrap metal lies at the bottom of the sea, another cost of Russia of its criminal decision to invade Ukraine. You should be more neutral and not jump to conclusions. I mean, I'm not even jumping to a conclusion. Maybe Russia did blow up its own fucking pipeline. It just seems so strange to do so. They might not have blown it up to show that they can do it. They might have blown it up to show that they can do it. The Norway pipeline opened today. Wait, what? Then wouldn't they say that they did it then? I don't understand. What
happened?
Obviously, any act of sabotage on any infrastructure is something that we would condemn.
Seismic data assumes it was a detonation. Yeah, that's okay.
As to further reactions, we will have to see, depending on the exact facts, once they are determined.
The head of the Danish Energy Authority says gas will continue to leak from the Nord Stream 2 pipeline in the Baltic Sea for several days, and perhaps even a week. Damien McGuinness has more from Berlin.
I think the big question is what's behind this. So what we do know is over the past 24 hours, these 3 separate leaks were discovered. Now, this is very unusual because one of these pipelines is brand new. It's never been in operation, but it has just been built. It doesn't deliver any gas to Europe because of the war in Ukraine. So just before the invasion, the German government decided to withhold authorization. The other pipeline has been running for a long time, but the reason why this is so unusual is because these 3 separate leaks happened in such short amount of time, and experts say this is very unusual. Now, authorities here in Germany and in other countries, including Denmark, say they're not ruling out sabotage such as an attack from either Ukraine or Russia or some sort of false flag operation. But there's no evidence for that so far. So we have to be very, very cautious because obviously this is a very controversial subject. These pipelines themselves are incredibly controversial because they were built to deliver gas, Russian gas, directly from Russia to Germany, the main source really, or the main form of transport of Russian gas to then the rest of Europe. And this has really been criticized for more than a decade, really, for one of the reasons why Europe is so over-reliant on Russian gas. So they're incredibly controversial infrastructure. And of course, at this particular time, when energy is a key part of the war in Ukraine right now, this is why this, what would usually be seen as simply a technical fault, is creating such a discussion here. What is exactly behind these gas?
I mean, this is what people got. This is what got people in a tizzy on social media.
First question first: if Russia invades
Germany,
that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again.
Dark Brandon, he did it.
Then there will be no.
Bro, I'm pretty surprised because your take is super short-sighted, but that's okay. European gas isn't your expertise. The point is so Russia can pretend to come to the table with genuine intentions and blame the infrastructure as the culprit now. Come on, bro. It's right in front of you, for fuck's sake. Brother, you can't do detonations on a fucking pipeline and then act like it happened as a consequence of the crippling infrastructure when, like, it's very obvious if an explosion occurred. You understand that, like, there are engineers who can dive down there and, like, take a look. There are people who analyze seismic data, as we talked about already, that will say, well, this is consistent with, like, a singular detonation. So, you know, it's kind of difficult to hide a bombing attempt. It's my thing is, like, there's a simple way of looking at a lot of these situations, right? There's a very simple way of looking at these situations, and it's like, who has the most to gain here? It, like, quite literally doesn't make fucking sense for Russia to false flag themselves in this way, because it's like their main thing, their main source of revenue, you know? Hold on. Chicken is ready. Hold on. But many people will say neither was invading Russia. True. But at least there was, like, something to gain. It was a major fuck up and idiotic, but there was something to gain out of it. I can't see what the gain angle is here. Invading Ukraine, while a gigantic misstep because they were going to fucking, experience all the things that they're experiencing now. And anyone with a fucking brain cell could have seen that. This, like, what is the gain here? What could it be? And I'm sincerely asking. There is a gain of, like, overextending, thinking that you're capable of invading Ukraine while you're clearly not, and overextending. Best guess, Russia is purposely escalating, demonstrating a capacity they can blow up a pipeline that could potentially be used again in a much more significant way. Wait, what? Right now, Nord Stream 1 wasn't moving much gas, so the economic impact on all parties is fairly minimal. Wait, what? To flex and to show that they what?
With regard to Nord Stream 2, we continue to have very strong and clear conversations with our German allies, and I want to be clear with you today. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
The fuck does one way or another mean? I just don't understand why they would do this. I don't know why they would ever do this. Like, I don't know why they would just, like, shoot their own leg for no fucking reason. You know what I mean? But then again, it's like, because Vladimir Putin has done something that's, like, insane, invading Ukraine, people are just going to always be like, well, they probably did it because this is insane too, and they just don't care. Ursula von der Leyen spoke to Statsman Frederiksen on the sabotage action. Paramount to now investigate the incidents, get full clarity on events and why any deliberate disruption of active European energy infrastructure is unacceptable and will lead to the strongest possible response. What are they going to do if it's America? Huh? What are they going to do? Let's say it's America for a second, okay? Well, what are you going to do? That's right, nothing, okay? You're not going to do shit. Shut the fuck up. To blame it on Ukraine and improve public opinion around the invasion? Wait, what? No one is going to fucking think that this is sick now. The invasion is not this. There are a million different things you could do to improve the public support around the invasion. Like, actually win ground and not use fucking forced conscription. Blowing up your own pipeline, which is one of the only things that is helping you bully the European Union and Europe in general, is not one of those things. In 2015, the annual routine underwater survey of the Nord Stream 1 pipeline came across a remote-operated vehicle rigged with explosives right next to the lines. The umbilical cable had been cut. The drone's national origin was never disclosed. Back in June this year, NATO concluded its annual Baltops military exercise in the Baltic Sea. This year's exercise had significant focus on using U.S. Navy unmanned underwater vehicles to clear sea mines. Where did the U.S. Navy conduct these UUV exercises? Right next to the Danish Sea of Bornholm, the same island adjacent to the massive ruptures in Nord Stream pipelines occurred yesterday. Since these exercises are in June, the British Royal Navy, along with the U.S. Navy's 6th Fleet, has been training with the Ukrainian military to use these same drones. I feel like this is going to be another thing where people are going to fucking yell at me because they're like, no, you have to say Russia did it. But it doesn't seem like Russia would do it. It's insane. Maybe they did, but they're already doing awful shit regardless, and they're getting their shit pushed in. Why would they do something that, like, unironically harms them further. I don't think Ukraine has the capability of doing this. I think it's, why the fuck would it be Ukraine? It'd be America. CIA warned Berlin about possible attacks on gas pipelines in the summer. The German government received the CIA tip in summer, Spiegel reported, citing unnamed sources adding that Berlin assumes a targeted attack on Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipeline. A German government spokesperson declined the comment. Interesting. They just knew that it could happen, like Russia could do it to themselves. Dark Brandon rises. Dark Brandon rises, folks. Hasan saw that Snowden got citizenship, so he's actively petitioning right now. Why the fuck would I want a Russian citizenship when I'm an American citizen? Interesting consideration would be some hyper-nationalist Europeans. No. I think like the only legitimate consideration for this that doesn't absolve potentially like American involvement would be that Russia would do this so they would increase the dependency for Nord Stream 2, I guess, but I don't even know how that works. The only way that I foresee this happening, like coming from the Russian front, like what are the benefits to Russia? The only benefit I can see it is like, because Europe is like reliant, but Nord Stream 2 also has leaks, right? So even then it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense, man. Why the fuck would they bomb both of them? Putin said on September 17th, if Europe wanted to open Nord Stream 3, they could, but the U.S. has been telling Europe not to do it. Yeah. You blew it up for content. Somehow it was me, actually. Are there more videos on this? I want to watch another one instead of this.
Mit diesem Dienstag endet eine Folge.
Okay, that's in German. We can't watch that. Nord Stream pipeline leaks. Raise suspicion. Okay, here.
Sabotage is
there we go.
behind
DW.
3 leaks in the Nord Stream natural gas pipelines connecting Russia to Europe. Gas bubbles have formed in the Baltic Sea off Denmark and Sweden. The Danish military has released these images of the gas bubbles. The leaks were first spotted on the radar of a passing ship. Denmark has since banned shipping from the area and imposed a no-fly zone. The Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines run from Russia to Germany. Neither is in operation, although both did contain pressurized gas. The Kremlin says it's extremely concerned about the leak. Now, Poland's Prime Minister has called it an act of sabotage without providing any evidence. And Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen says sabotage is indeed a possibility.
We cannot rule it out. It is too early to draw conclusions yet. But this is an extraordinary situation, an unusual situation. And there are 3 leaks. Even with
I don't know why people are feigning ignorance. Just say, like, even if you hate, there are plenty of people who hate Russia. Understandable. They're doing some fucking really horrifying things in Ukraine. I don't know why it's so hard for people to admit that, like, America most likely did this. Like, this doesn't mean that Russia is all of a sudden in the right for invading Ukraine. You know what I mean? It seems like there's only one party that has the most to gain and has actively said, we will do whatever the fuck we can to stop Nord Stream 2 from moving forward, which they successfully did. And it seems like, they were not happy with like Russia having any sort of dominance over Europe. They openly said, we'll take any means necessary to stop that from happening. So I don't know why people are like, oh man, there's no way this could be America, even though they are the ones who gain the most out of this. It's Europe gets cucked because they're a piece of their energy dependence, like a pipeline that is a part of their energy dependence on Russia is cucked, making energy prices higher. Russia gets cucked because, like, it's one way, maybe not the most effective, but one of the ways of delivering energy directly to Europe. You know what I mean? Like out of all those players, like, it makes no sense for any of those other guys to do it. U.S. with the help of Moldovan Navy SEALs and cows. You just said Moldovan Navy SEALs twice, Moldovan Mama Liga.
with some distance between them, and that is why it's hard to imagine that what's happening is a coincidence.
Now, our political correspondent Thomas Barrett joins me now. Thomas, what are you hearing from the German government officially and maybe unofficially about these leaks?
The same line of caution that we heard from other European officials, that it's essentially too early to conclude what exactly is behind those leaks. But what we are hearing as well, not only here in Germany, but also from other European countries, is that the extent of the damage seems too large for it to be accidental or coincidental. And that's why you're hearing from officials saying that there's a possibility that this could have been an act of sabotage. But again, it is still too early to really conclude what was behind those leaks. There are crisis teams meeting in different parts of Europe to try and understand what exactly happened and also what could be the impact, the political but also the economic impact of these leaks on the Nord Stream pipelines, the Nord Stream 1 and the Nord Stream 2 pipelines.
Now, how difficult would it be to attack these pipelines? I understand they're encased in concrete.
Well, you would essentially need to know first, Gerhard, if it was indeed an attack. Again, we're only speculating here, but there have been already analyses pointing to the fact that the extent of the damage would point, if it is an attack, to a state actor. But again, this is only speculation, and those crisis teams are trying to identify not only the extent of the damage, some of the latest reports also point to possible explosions along the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines, but also, again, what could be the impact of these damages, in particular.
America's literally applying Russia is hitting itself defense. And it seems like American media will go along with it, and it seems like people will actually agree to that narrative.
For Europe's infrastructure when it comes to...
By the way, none of this still absolves Russia's actions, for the record.
Gas.
But it just doesn't make any sense to me. But, you know, I was wrong about saying that Vladimir Putin was not going to invade Ukraine because that would be fucking bananas and insane.
In particular for Europe's infrastructure when it comes to gas. That is also a particularly important topic in Europe nowadays.
Now, does this leak, do these leaks have any measurable effect of the current energy supplies to Europe?
We've heard already from German officials, from the German economy minister, that energy supply is guaranteed, and that has to do with the fact that both pipelines were not in operation. Nord Stream 2 pipeline was never in operation, actually, and gas was flowing less and less from Nord Stream 1. So from that perspective, in the German case, Germany has, in fact, increased its gas reserves around 91%. So from that perspective, energy supply seems to be guaranteed. But there are obviously questions as to what all this means for Europe's vulnerability when it comes to these gas supplies in general, what it also means economically, what it means for the markets. So there are certainly, Gerhard, a lot of questions here as to what the potential impact of this might be, even though, as we're hearing from German officials, that energy supply is for now guaranteed and that the impact on this is certainly not as big as many would have feared maybe a few weeks or a few months ago.
Our political correspondent, Thomas Sparrow, there. Thank you, Thomas. Now let's bring in Michael Bloss. He's a member of the European Parliament for the German Green Party and part of the Committee on Industry, Research and Energy. Now, the Danish military has released videos showing the ocean bubbling. What more do you know about the exact situation right now?
I don't know much more. I think investigations are in place from the Danish side, from the Swedish side. And we have to see what they will find. I'm sure they will also go down with some robots and check the leaks. But yeah, as you just heard, sabotage is something that cannot be ruled out. I think it is but important to say that this will not have an impact on the German gas situation, because we do not get gas from Nord Stream 1 and 2 from Russia. These were closed down by Russia. So the effects on the German gas market is close to zero.
So who would benefit from such an attack? I mean, it doesn't look like any amateur could attack a concrete encased pipeline at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. There must be some state actors behind
Who could be?
Absolutely. It seems like that this is something that has been done in a very professional way, but it's too early to say who could be the one who did it. No, I mean, I believe Russia could be behind in an attempt to create more chaos, more turmoil on the European energy market. What is, of course, now underway is also security checks on existing other gas pipelines. This is critical infrastructure, and the security alert for them there, it has to be heightened up now. We don't know who is behind it. It creates a little
probably
bit of chaos
Russia.
and insecurity in Germany. We need to take care of our in all of Europe.
He's like, we don't know who's behind
we
it, but
need
it's
to take care of
probably
our
Russia.
critical infrastructure, our energy infrastructure, but who was it is something that the Danish and the Swedish police need to find out.
Yeah, impossible to say right now, as you rightly say there. But what worries you most about these leaks?
No, what worries me is really that, you know, the acts of war, and I suspect it is connected through the Russian aggression against Ukraine, is coming closer and closer. Energy infrastructure is key for us to come over the winter. It's critical infrastructure. We really need to take care of it. We really need to.
When they say we're not getting any gas, we've switched 90% of our reliance away from Nord Stream, that doesn't mean that in the future, in a critical moment, when Germany's like, our reserves are drying out, we desperately need energy from Russia, doesn't mean that they wouldn't open up the fucking faucets. So just understand that. Like, they are ready for it, or they're trying to gear up for a strong winter, but that doesn't mean that, like, during the height of winter demand, that they were going to cave. Now, of course, Russia understands that. Every person that is involved in this understands that. The people that are currently selling them, yes, Bidet Marx is correct on this. The people that are currently increasing their liquefied natural gas that they're selling, who most clearly benefits from such a disaster, since the same time last year, U.S. has more than doubled the volume of gas it is sending to Europe. Yeah. And also Germany's currently working on facilities that it can use to get the liquid gas that America is sending, which is a different process than like directly getting it from the Nord Stream pipeline, which will take years, by the way. They're working on it, but, you know, it's going to take a fucking long-ass time. But once those investments are placed, and once they're actually building the infrastructure for that, like, they're not going to go back to the fucking Nord Stream pipeline. Well, now they can't go back because the pipeline is doo-doo. All I know is this upcoming winter for Europe, it's going to be a very cold one. A very, very cold one. Dark Brandon rises.
Let me answer the first question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Okay, I'm a Russian and I can say that these pipes blew up by themselves? Yeah, no, probably not. I mean, probably, sorry. Take a look.
To increase the security level. But also what worries me as a climate politician is that this is lots of methane gas getting out of this two pipelines, and methane gas is 30 times more dangerous for the climate than CO2. So also this leakage is something that is bad for the climate and bad for the environment, for the biosphere, for the animals that live around the leaks.
Michael Bloster, member of the European Parliament, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the pipeline probably killed itself by shooting itself in the back of the head.